And now it's time for our next presentation in the Cloud We Trust Megacast. And this session comes from Keeper Security. And presenting for Keeper Security is Jonathan Padilla, Solution and Sales Engineer. So Jonathan, welcome. Take it away.
Thanks for beaming me up, Scotty. In Cloud We Trust. Hello, my name is Jonathan Padilla. I'm a Solution and Sales Engineer here with Keeper Security. And today we're going to talk about ensuring trust and security in enterprise IT and the cloud. Let's dive in, shall we? Look at these statistics. Approximately 81% of breaches are due to failure to protect and secure passwords, critical credentials, secret access keys, token keys, crypto keys especially. You don't want to be losing that, right? And that's a big statistic. 81%. It's due to a failure. I'm going to say it a little bit different. Due to the end user or administrator or organization protecting those credentials and that information. But I'm not saying that they're not doing your job. Let's see what the pain points are and why this happens. Let's dive in. We start understanding that protecting passwords, credentials, access keys, token key secrets is now the world's most pervasive cybersecurity issue. Not just issue, but now cybersecurity strategy. Let's take a look at the pain points that causes this. Problem number one, all right? There's no visibility, security, or control over employee passwords, right? Or credentials that they're currently using against websites, applications, or critical infrastructure, right? So those are the stolen passwords or credentials that are the leading causes of breaches, right? That's where the organizations are lacking. Okay, let's keep on digging in, all right? Let's keep on digging in. All right? Failure to protect. I like this one. I really do. Check it out. Failure to protect every user on every application, on every device, right? In every location, all right? So your users, they're accessing applications, devices, information, whatever it may be, a digital asset or something physical, okay? And so the IT department's like, hey, we have something to protect ourselves. We're using, say, a password manager, or we're using something to protect our credentials. But what about the rest of your users, right? Every person in the organization is susceptible to a breach, right? A credential breach that will lead to information, right? Providing that cyber criminal entrance into the environment. Let's look at problem number 3, okay? The security paradox adoption, right? It's like this. The more secure the solution is, right? Like 2FA, like, oh my God, my username, my password. Oh, 2FA. I got to look at my phone. I got to put in 2FA code, right? People, it's like a hassle for people, right? So the more secure that solution is, right? The fewer employees want to use it or people want to use it. It's like, oh, it's too hard. I don't want to use it. So now what you purchase in your organization has become shelfware. It falls into the security adoption paradox. Nobody's going to use it, right? So what is the solution? Okay. You need a unified solution, right? A next-gen unified PAM solution to cover these use cases, right? These scenarios, right? So Keeper Cybersecurity PAM solution does give you that visibility and control and security of your organization's critical assets and infrastructures, credentials and keys to access that information, all right? Our platform does enable a zero knowledge and zero trust security model. Okay, we're going to understand this as we dig a little bit more. Right? This does provide the security and compliance that's needed by organizations with a unified platform, such as Keepers. Right? Let's look at this. What's this unified solution that Keeper has, right? Right? This next-gen SaaS-based unified solution. Oh, cloud, so scary. Right? We're going to dig into that. We're going to dig into that, right? But Keeper is the first company to unify all three, identity access management products into one, right? So we have password management, right? That does enable organizations to manage, secure, and control those credentials being utilized from upper IT departments down to a regular HR department, right? Secrets management, right? This is important as well, right? Providing access to that information that is secured, right? In that vault, in that password manager to say servers, systems, CI/CD command pipelines like Ansible, Jenkins, GitHub Actions, or scripts and code, right? Not just that, but connections to systems, for example, right? Hey, it's fantastic that you're using a password manager, for example, to store this information and make sure you can have a long, strong, unique credential and access it. But how are you actually sharing that credential, sharing that connection securely, right? To also protect against insider threats potentially, right? Or inside man. Let's continue, right? So our solution, our PAM solution, does address the key pain points, right? Unifying our platform into that PAM solution. Right? We're covering password management, right? Sharing of credentials and information securely in secret. Password rotations, that's important, right? Rotations of credentials because it's needed for compliancy reasons because you have to rotate credentials every 30, 60, 90 days, right? So Keeper's PAM platform covers all of these bases, right? That's keeping and restricting organizations from having that security and control and insights into the credentials, all right, and keys or secrets needed, again, to gain access to critical assets and infrastructure in any organization. Let's look at the evolution of PAM, right? We had CyberArk, right? That was the first PAM in the market, and it was fantastic, all right? It was fantastic. And then, with the solution coming on, you always have a contender, right? Beyond Trust comes in, right? PAM with additional features. This is great, right? This is great, right? I saw what you were doing. Now we're going to do something and do it a little bit better. Then Dichotic came along, right? Right? This was like the first PAM that really just disrupted the market, right? Being affordable and being easy to use, which is important, right? This is important. PAM needs to be easy to use for both high-level administrators and end users. So here Keeper comes along, right? Known as just a password manager. We've been observing the market and the landscape and the security landscape especially, and seeing where maybe the gaps are and where we need to improve. And so we are the first unified next-gen PAM solution, right, for that perimeterless, which is highly important. Perimeterless, right, multi-cloud environment solution, all right, as we can integrate into any environment, whether on-prem or in the cloud. Right, so let's look at some key internal, external challenges for any organization, right? Why don't most organizations have such a solution in place, like even just basic password management, Jonathan? Why don't they have that? And there's a lot of factors and challenges in organizations, right? And I'm not going to really put this in order. I want to kind of jump around here. And one of them is the cost effectiveness, right? The cost effectiveness of a solution. All right. A lot of times it's cost prohibitive, right? It's not cost effective towards your organization. It's too expensive. So you can't adopt it. So you can't put that security layer in your organization, right? So organizations, right, they do consist of both infrastructure and humans who need access to information and systems, right? And secrets management or a PAM solution is what's needed in the environment. But again, if you can't purchase that, if it's cost prohibitive of what you're doing, if it's not cost effective, then you're not going to be able to cover that. Right? You're not going to be able to cover that. So let's look at some traditional IT perimeter, right? That has vaporized, right? A lot of on-prem infrastructure has vaporized. And why? Well, look at COVID, for example, what it forced us to do, work from home, right? A lot of people are working remotely. And not just working remotely, this is what's been adopted now. This is what people have been used to doing. Companies have now seen the benefit of this, but there's a double-edged sword to this as well. People are working from home. Right? And what has that done? Look at what has that done? Look what it's done. The attack surface has exponentially increased. People working from home, right? Maybe people not working over a VPN, or maybe they are. So what? The credential to that VPN got breached. We know this has happened several times, right? Again, speaking profoundly that cybersecurity truly starts with password security, securing and protecting that credential, right? Right, and so, right, that has increased, and these attack vectors have become more sophisticated as well. So you need a platform that can protect not your end users, right? Your end users, especially your end users in this day and age. All right, so a lot of traditional cybersecurity solutions are heterogeneous, disparate, right? They're isolated, right? To say it in layman's terms, they're isolated products, and they're inadequate, right? They can do one thing. Right? Great. I could do good password hygiene, but maybe this isn't checking this credential against the dark web if it's been breached? Or how am I to share this to my team in a secure and controlled fashion, right? That I can report on things, right? It's just kind of just isolated. Great, I'm using a password manager. Who else is using one, for example, right? Right? Heterogeneous IT environments do increase operating risks, right? There's such critical security gaps that leave an organization vulnerable. That's just how it is. That is the nature. Okay, we already talked about that. You know, purchasing and deploying, managing disparate, right, software is cost prohibitive, right? That means I got to buy this to do one thing, this to do another, and this to do another, and they don't unify together. Now the cost is astronomical, right? What if you unified that solution? That's what we've done. That's what Keeper has done, right? So Keeper PAM eclipses traditional PAM solutions, right? Let's look at this, right? Cost prohibitive. Keeper is cost effective. And I'm going to say it this way, right? I'm going to say it this way. One license of secrets management on Keeper side. We're not talking about a site license. We're not talking about a 200 minimal user license. One license. A Keeper secrets management, for example, gets your organization secrets management, right? That's cost effective, right? That's allowing people to adopt secrets management, for example, into their organization instead of saying, oh, I've got to skip out on that because that's just too much money. And therefore, there goes a gap in your organization, right? Difficult to provision or difficult to deploy in your environment. That's another challenge for IT professionals, right? It's like, oh man, we're getting this application. We have 18,000 users. How are we going to deploy this to those 18,000 users in an effective manner, quickly, right? So integrating with single sign-on and SCIM provisioning, system for cross-domain identity management, is important. So you have that single point of provisioning and deprovisioning, right? And that's the integrations Keeper has. We can integrate with any single sign-on solution, right? Any identity provider out there. As a matter of fact, if you go into your identity provider and search for Keeper in your applications, you're going to find us there, already created in this app, right? Preserve visibility, right? An administrator has full visibility for auditing and compliances into how credentials are being utilized in their organization, shared, edited, accessed from where, which date, which time, which location, which IP address, which device, right? That's very important, visibility, right? And now, last but not least, right, world-class security. We are a true zero knowledge, zero trust company. And we're going to get into that zero knowledge, zero trust architecture. But to state it short, it states that a user is always encrypting and decrypting data there local on their device. And also generating their own keys, right? Also generating their own keys local on their device. Now we're the service provider, providing keys and handing it over to them. So when the service provider gets breached, boom, cyber criminal has keys. That's not okay, right? It's not okay. We don't want to be someone's locksmith. Let's take a look at this. This is really cool, right? So Keeper Zero Trust PAM platform, right? We integrate into any existing identity stack, right? A lot of people are using an identity stack. You have an identity provider, Azure, Okta, Jump Cloud, OneLog, and I'll keep going and going, right? These are the ones I'm so used to working with as we integrate with them on a daily basis, right? But let's check it out, right? Whether it's Azure, Okta, Ping, hey, that's a cool one too, right? They're covering IDP and some SSO strategies into some applications and endpoints. But there's a gap, all right? There's a lot of application and endpoints and systems that don't integrate into single sign-on. This is where Keeper comes into play, right? Where we can autofill, for example, log into a website in a secure fashion, or connect to a remote system in a secure fashion without ever seeing credentials, but being able to get provided that connection or application, okay, for example. So that's nice. That's where Keeper will cover that gap for any desktop app, web application connection that single sign-on cannot cover, right? And for the administrators, right? Secrets management, right? Again, sharing information, right? Systems, code, machine, server, script. They are storing information, too sensitive information, and they as well need access to the vault, right? There's a huge gap on that. Like, it's just like, hey, don't leave me out. Like, pick me. I want to be on the basketball team, right? Don't leave your servers out. Don't leave your code out. Don't leave your CI/CD command pipelines out, right? Don't make your code susceptible to breaches, or your system's susceptible to breaches. Or your connections as well, right? Your connections, Keeper Connection Manager allows you to connect to RDP sessions, SSH, VNC, Kubernetes clusters, SQL databases, Postgre, MySQL, for example, right? In a secure fashion, right? Never really exposing that credential, not copying and pasting that credential into, say, Microsoft Terminal Services Connection, right? RDP. Right, for you guys that want to keep it simplistic, right? Copying, pasting, getting saved into memory, for example, or typing it out, right? You're getting key logged. That's bad, right? And last but not least, a nice central point of administration and insights is that Keeper Admin Console that gives them that full purview, right? Like Zeus looking down at everyone, right? I see what's going on. Let's keep moving on here. So, zero trust framework, zero knowledge security architecture. What does this entail? Right? What does this do? We hear this get thrown around a lot. This is important because, right, in cloud we trust. So many people are scared of SaaS, right? Are scared of SaaS. But I will state, again, you think about SaaS and how we function with SaaS, it's just to facilitate certain aspects of our platform, of our PAM. Again, encryption and decryption of data is happening right there on your device. So let's look at that, right? Data is encrypted and decrypted at the device level, not on the server side. That's bad. Not on the server side. That states that the service provider has keys to encrypt, decrypt, has control, has insights, can look at your stuff, and if they get breached, man, isn't that some bad news? All right? The application never stores information in plain text, right? The Keeper app that you utilize on your device. We're operating system and device agnostic, whether you're using our desktop app, mobile application, browser extension, or our API SDKs. Whatever it may be, right? Never stores information in plain text. It is encrypted, right? And it takes a lot of keys, an encryption model, an entire cryptographic flow to decrypt that information, right? Our servers never receive information in plain text. It's pure ciphertext. That's all that Keeper has, right? No Keeper employee here, right? Or third party, as stated before, has access to view unencrypted data. It's impossible. We don't have keys to decrypt, all right? The keys to decrypt and encrypt data, again, are derived on the user's device, right? Either using a master password or utilizing a successful single sign-on login. All right, last but not least, right, a multi-layered encryption provides control at the user, group, and admin level, right? That allows the administrator to truly control with keys how things are shared out to which people and teams. All right, a little bit more about our security and compliances. Keeper is SOC 2 Type 2 and ISO 27001. Right, we're also FedRAMPed and state-ramped. We are served up in Amazon. We have several FEMA disaster recovery zones as well. HIPAA compliant, GDPR compliant, as you can see here, PCI DSS level 1, trustee, right? The list goes on and on. That's my favorite, FIPS 140-2. Yes, we utilize FIPS 140-2 validated modules, right? Privacy Shield as well. To wrap this all up, I do recommend that you attend a demo. With that, you'll get a free 3-year personal password manager subscription. With your web browser, just navigate to keeper.io/free. That stated, beat me down, Scotty. I'd like to open up the floor for questions.
Okay, done, Jonathan. You are beamed down. Has the transporter reassembled you correctly?
Yes, you have.
All right, outstanding. So let's put up the poll for everybody, but we'll get into your questions. So let's see. First one, we have one here from Brian who's asking, does Keeper have active threat monitoring to look for password attacks or other external threats?
Yeah. So aside from our system being able, again, to scan your credentials, right? It's actually the end user initiating that initial scan against your credentials that they've been breaching, right? I'll talk about two separate aspects. Right? When it comes to the credentials in the user's vault, right, they get to actively monitor if those credentials are out there in the dark web and are breached. So they can mitigate that risk with our system. Aside from that, right, our system, we are hosted up in Amazon. And without saying too much, right, we have our own security layers and systems. And we'd be more than happy to share that with anyone that likes to check us out and sign a mutual NDA. We'll release our SOC 2 Type 2 reports, our attestation reports, our pen test reports, whatever is needed. to understanding
Okay.
architecture and infrastructure.
All right. Very cool. Next question comes from Rob. Can Keeper be pushed out to devices through MOM tools like JMF?
Yeah, like Jamf. Oh man, that's the jam right there. Not even joking about that, right? Jamf, you're pushing out to like Mac devices, iOS devices, MacBooks, whatever is going on, right? So yeah, you can push out any part of our application, whether it's the desktop application, mobile application, browser extension to any web browser, or any part of our app with those RMM tools such as Jamf, Batch Patch, IT Ninja, SCCM, Intune, Group Policy, right? Whatever you have, you can push out our platform, and that really helps with that onboarding experience, especially for an administrator that's dealing with like onboarding 18,000 users and possible devices. Absolutely, we support that, and we've got that documented through and through. Our docs are public. You can check it out at docs.keeper.io.
Okay, super. Next question is from Carrie, who's wondering, companies like JumpCloud are merging IAM and IDP with their new password manager. Is Keeper looking to do something similar, such as providing SSO, et cetera?
Yeah, really good question. See, so we're a service provider, not an identity provider. And there's so many good identity providers out there already, and I mentioned a few. You got Okta, Azure, right, OneLogin, all those identity providers that we already integrate with. We already have partnerships with. When you go in there and you look for the Keeper application, that already facilitates single sign-on against Keeper and skim provisioning for one place of management for that administrator right there in their identity provider stack, right? So it's already a seamless integration. There's no need for us to be an identity provider. It's, and where single sign-on doesn't cover, right, some applications. How there's some applications that do integrate with single sign-on and some that don't? This is a perfect example where Keeper covers that gap over where single sign-on may not integrate with certain things or connections to systems, applications, et cetera, et cetera. We're not here to compete against identity providers at all. We work with them.
Okay, fantastic. Next one from Chris. How does Keeper handle passwordless?
That's a really good question, passwordless, right? There's so many different, we're saying password list, everybody, not lists. And so there's so many different technologies out there nowadays, right? Like biometrics, right? We got access keys, token keys, and right? And so we're dealing with passwordless with just that, right? We do allow biometrics into the system, whether a master password user or a single sign-on user. That's really nice because this allows the administrator to enforce, say, like, I'm going to get crazy here, a 52-character password in, say, Azure or Active Directory. And right, and the user's never going to remember that. Maybe they have Keeper automating the rotation of those credentials, right? Whatever it may be, right? All the user needs to understand they can biometric into the system or application. That's one way, with biometrics, wrapping that up. Aside from that, right, we have a secrets management system, and this is also utilized to share credentials in secret, not in plain text, to a person, place, or thing. Right, to CI/CD command pipelines, Jenkins, Ansible, GitHubs, scripts, code. It really doesn't matter, right? You don't want to put that information there in clear text. You put it in there as a secret string that can pull against the information in Keeper in secret, never in clear text. Okay, and aside from that, and some basic password sharing, right? The Keeper platform does allow you to share credentials. Let's just say into GitHub or Facebook, for example, where the user can use a credential, but they can never see the password. The browser extension is filling all that information for them and submitting the entrance where they never have to lift a finger, therefore giving them that password experience and allowing them to set long, strong, unique credentials.
Okay, great. Thanks for that question, Chris. And here's a question from Cheryl, who's wondering what advantage Keeper provides that's above and beyond AWS Cloud Secrets Manager service.
Oh man, this is, and I love that question, right? So if you think about our vaulting system, number one, right, we're the only ones that encrypt information at the record level inside of the vault. So you think about the password management system is utilizing the vault just to display to you the information. Secrets management system utilizes the same information. Our information inside of the vault is encrypted at rest, and that's a big advantage. Number one, right, encryption, right, securing the information. And number two, it's integrations. We integrate with so many things, again, like GitHub, GitLab, Amazon Secrets, Azure Secrets, current secret systems are utilizing now, Ansible, Jenkins. Again, the list goes on and on. We have multiple SDKs, .NET, PowerShell, Java, Python. And those integrations allow people to integrate our system, whether it's password management or secrets management, again, system, or configuration files or whatever, maybe DevOps users. It allows us to do that seamlessly because of our integrations, and also allows you to implement our PAM solution or secrets management solution with their current stack that they have right now, right? With the current stack, again, for example, you have Amazon Secrets working right now. Our secrets management and entire platform integrates with that, right? So we're not, it's not, because of our licensing, it's not like you're trying to overhaul your entire system, right? We have our licensing model is ingenuous, to say the least.
Okay, all right. Here's sort of a psychology question from Sydney, who's wondering, how can I force management to choose Keeper when they're bent on using KeePass as a password solution?
That's a very good question, right? And listen, I know KeePass all too well, right? We all know KeePass. That's great, right? But remember I said, disparate applications, right? Applications that can do some things, but not all. Allows your end users to do password management, but how are they sharing, right? Where are you storing that database? You don't know how many copies of that password, if it's the right password or not, right? And so you start thinking about just the management, central management, and the nightmare that it causes immediately right out of the gate, right? The keys to decrypt that, where are you storing the keys to decrypt your KeePass login? Right? Are you storing it in clear text on your device where you're pointing to that? And then all of a sudden you're going to decrypt your password management system with that key that lives in clear text on your device that can get stolen. See, what advantages are is security, right? Right, military-grade security, literally, right? Security and functionality, right? Sharing in secret, allowing to sharing to teams, external parties in a timely fashion, right? Time sharing to external parties that aren't even licensed on your password management platform or secrets management platform. There's so many advantages and functionalities over something like KeePass that Keeper provides, and surpassing encryption models, right? Surpassing encryption models. So many advantages, and I recommend that. Hey, get a demo and you'll see this.
Okay. Well, this has been fantastic. I think we're gonna have to leave it there. There's a ton more questions in the Q&A. If you've got a few minutes to hang around and respond to people, I'm sure everybody'd appreciate it. But thank you so much for coming on and doing a great presentation and for all your insights here in the Q&A.
Absolutely. I'm more than happy to answer any other questions. Do I do it over this line or something online there?
Yeah, we'll take you off, and you can do it in the chat function.
Excellent.
So, yeah, just stay on the phone and. Yep. All right. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you, everyone.